Welcome to the Convene Community Podcast with your host, Matthew Curran.
Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? I am so excited about this podcast. I have two great ladies on tonight with me. I have Nyota. How are you doing tonight, Nyota?
I'm doing great. How are you? I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy you're here. And how are you doing tonight, Tina Marie?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me too.
Awesome. So the question is that we're going to talk about tonight is how are you making a difference in being an entrepreneur? What type of things are you guys out there in the world doing different? And these two ladies are out there making it happen. They're really making a big difference in the world. And so let's start off by having you guys introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about yourself. So Nyota, how about you first?
Okay. I'm Nyota Gordon. I am retired from the United States Army. I used to be cybersecurity, but now I am working in the field of coaching. I work with veterans to help them thrive on the other side of military transition. It can be a struggle. I rode on that struggle bus for a while. And what actually helped me transition and what helped me really thrive as a civilian was entrepreneurship. And so I just really want to be able to show that and help veterans use that as entrepreneurship as starting a business or entrepreneurship as a skill. So that is what I'm doing.
That's right. And I'm not going to hold it against you that you're in the Army because I'm a retired Marine, but we'll probably go back and forth about that a little bit tonight. But you are so right. Transitioning from the military is not easy. And you and I are going to talk about that a lot tonight. Because it's not easy. So what are you doing? What are people doing? How are they transitioning? How are they thinking about working and all that? So, but before we get to all that, Tina Marie, go ahead. Let's hear about you.
Well, I just want to say, Nyota, I'm an Army brat, so I'm Team Army as well.
Oh, God, I'm outnumbered. Stezo, go Marine with me. Stezo's in the background. He's going to go Marine with me.
So Tina Marie, I'm a mindset and success coach for multi-passionate entrepreneurs. These are people who have multiple passion projects or multiple businesses, mainly because it's very close to my heart. I am one as well. I help them really build profitable business models and take that squirrel syndrome, like where you just get really distracted very quickly and get overwhelmed and don't know what to do, and kind of pull them all together so they can really focus on what they really need to get done to grow their businesses. On the other aspect, since I am multi-passionate as well, I am the COO of Black Girl Fin Magic. It's an organization that helps support women of color in the personal finance space, whether they're a blogger, insurance agent, or a money coach. We really help to support them so they can grow their businesses and get their voices and message out there. Yeah,
so that's really, really cool. And so listen, these are 2 of 15 of our incredible speakers for Entrepreneurs Unite, Back to the Basics. This will be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And so these ladies here are going to be 2 of our great panel, our great speakers that will be talking and teaching you all just a lot about business and a lot about just life, really, and how to get out there as an entrepreneur and make things happen. So which is really cool. So Nyota, let's talk about it real quick. Let's talk about that transition out of the military. How good do they do getting us ready to get out of the military? Do they prepare us? Are we prepared when we make that transition?
They do not prepare us. And that is the unfortunate truth. They don't prepare us. They prepare us to leave, but they don't prepare us to thrive once we join civilian life. We don't have those skills. We don't know how to have those meaningful conversations. We just don't have that. We just don't have the mindset of a successful civilian. We just don't have that when we get out. Yeah. We're just not prepared for it.
Well, I call it, when you're in the military, you live, I used to call it, because I was a Marine, I said the Marine Corps security blanket, right? You're going to get paid on the 1st and 15th. It's coming every day. You get 30 days paid vacation. You're going to get 90, weekends off. You're going to get your 96s and 72s. That's what we understand. But 96 is 4 days off, 72 on a 3-day weekend. So we know all these things are happening. We have that job security. Well, let's think about the time of right now with COVID-19, right? That job security for some people is just not there right now. How many people are unemployed right now? How many people? We're in 20 some million people have been furloughed or lost their jobs, right? So it's it's how do you prepare for these times? You know, how do you do things differently? And I think those are some of the things that are so important. So Tina Marie, if you're giving advice to me and Nyota, because we're getting out of the military, what are you going to tell us?
Oh man, being an Army brat, and I also used to be married to Air Force, so I kind of seen both sides. Seeing my dad retire and trying to transition, and then seeing my ex-husband trying to like transition as well. It's really what I would probably say the best way to transition is finding a coach or finding a mentor that can really walk you through the process that's been there. Because there's not really a lot of resources I've seen out there that even helped my dad. And I know there's a lot of resources out there about finding a job, interviewing, but I really think finding a mentor or coach who's done it before is a great person to speak with. And when it comes to transitioning, I don't know, Nyota, do you agree?
I definitely agree. Or an organization that can help you with that underlying part. Because when you first time you get out, you're not used to kind of being out there by yourself. So, you know, we work in a team and a tribe kind of mentality. So if you can just and being able to really understand that we have the skill as military people of adaptability, right? Yeah. But if you just don't know how to guide that, like we already have that cape, but sometimes your cape, it just may need to turn into a shirt or something, like, because it just needs to be something a little bit more functional, but we already have that skill. And Tina Marie, you are absolutely right to have someone that can kind of guide you that's already been through that process, so they don't have to step on these landmines and stuff themselves. Like, you don't have to do that. So I think that's perfect.
Yeah. And so, you know, as somebody who transitioned, I transitioned out in 2007. And I was lucky. I started a training program, the V-22 Osprey, right? There it is behind me. And I stayed on as a contractor for 5 years. So I was still part of that pseudo military, right? And the world wasn't great as far as the economy coming up after that, right? And so government contract shift. And then guess what? I'm out in the real world, right? And now it's just different, right, Nyota? So it's different. So I believe in what you're doing. I think you're doing the greatest thing in the world, because how we want to make our fellow men and women, when they get out, we want to give them not only the skills to write a resume, go out and interview and find a job. That's what they get to it. That's what they teach us when we're getting out. But we want to teach them those, hey, it's a different world out there, right? It's not the military. Like I said, it's not, you don't have that security blanket anymore. It's real. It's real.
And to realize that it's not us versus them. I think that's one of the biggest shifts and one of the biggest mindsets, you know, to make it seem like civilians are one way and military are one way, because your goal is to actually be thriving as a civilian. That is the goal, you know.
Yeah. So Tina Marie, let's shift over to what you do. Let's talk about, so what exactly is that, the type of coaching you do, and how do you help take people, you know, let's explain a little bit more. How do you take people to the next level?
Well, I'll give a little background why I started getting into mindset. You know, I started my business 4 years ago. I was really good at what I did, but I started seeing clients revert back to old bad habits. And then I saw myself not really showing up in my own business. I'm like, what's going on? I know about business. I'm getting results with my client. Why am I not showing up as much as I can? So I started studying a lot about successful business owners, millionaires, all through history. And the big center thing was mindset. They just thought in a different way than, I don't want to say regular people, but than anybody else. And so I started really pursuing and studying a lot about neuro-linguistic programming, you know, positive psychology, and even law of attraction. And so I tailor my coaching to my clients, because I like to tell them that they are whole, creative, and resourceful, and that everybody's different. Everybody's business model is going to be different. It doesn't matter if I have 2 photographers, you know, what might work for one photographer may not work for another. So it's all about finding a holistic way of integrating your business into the life that you want, versus creating a business where it feels like a job again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes, you know, I think if, you know, if you don't really love and you're not passionate about what you do, then maybe you're in the wrong place. You need to go find something that you're passionate about. So I how you said, about showing up every day in business, about showing up and you question yourself, okay, what am I doing wrong? Right. Or why am I not showing up? And so you had to make that shift. And it is about mindset. It is about that positive psychology and about really believing and being passionate about what you're doing. So expand on that just a little bit more.
Well, passion can only take you so far. I love what I did, or still do right now. It kind of transitioned from business strategy to more business strategy and mindset. But, passion's only going to take you so far. Motivation's only going to take you so far. What the top 3 things that I've really seen with my clients and myself at the time was we have a different mindset when we start businesses. I talk about employee to CEO mindset, and I'm going to talk more about that in my session in the summit. But, we've been trained in school to do things in a certain way. And then when we get into the workforce, we're told to do things in a certain way for that job. But when we get to opening our own businesses, a lot of us have never been trained to be a leader or a manager or, be comfortable to take risks. So there's that transition. And then there's the imposter syndrome. And for the audience who doesn't know what imposter syndrome is, it doesn't matter how successful or how many achievements you've made in your particular circle. If you have imposter syndrome, you feel like someone's going to point out that you're a fraud. You're so afraid that you're going to be seen as a fraud and that you're not really an expert in whatever you do. And that's actually very common in a lot of people, and especially with women. And then there's money mindset. And I know we're going to have some amazing speakers talk about money mindset. There's a lot of money stories that were created subconsciously as kids between 3 and 7 that kind of formulate how we handle our money, how we run our businesses, how we run our careers. Oftentimes we don't negotiate our salaries, or we're undercharging as business owners for our services and products. And so those are the things that I really help my clients kind of work through that no one's really teaching you. You see all the flashy signs like you can make 6 figures in 6 months. Well, I've known a lot of business, and I had some clients that made 6 figures, but they had no money left. They had no profits. They had no money saved for taxes. So there's all aspects about business that I think a lot of people don't really realize when they start to jump in, that I wish I was told when I first started.
Yeah. So Nyota, I'm going to ask you a question because we haven't really talked about this, but what rank were you when you retired?
I retired as a captain. I was enlisted before. And so I went to officer candidate school, did all of those things, and then I retired as a captain.
Okay, because so here's what you're talking about.
Army captain, which is different from a Navy captain.
Yeah, different from a Navy captain. That is very true. But let's talk about that, because here is when I've had this conversation twice this week, and so this is along the lines of what you talk about and what you're going to be teaching people, and you're going to be talking about transitioning stuff, right? This is a big thing. Guess what? I retired as a major. You retired as a captain. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman that this week I was talking to somebody, and they retired as a colonel. Well, they didn't like that the lieutenant commander was kind of driving the show afterwards. Guess what? You're Nyota and I'm Matt, right? I don't care when my enlisted friends call me or they text me. Guess what? I'm Matt. They are who they are. I hate to say it, but that's one of the things that they should say to people when you get out. Great. You are a general. You are a colonel. Guess what? When you get out, you are you. And that's the reality of it, because people will tell you, and they mean it. I truly, with all of my heart, think that they mean it. They'll say, Nyota, thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate it. Now, what are you going to do for me and my business to help me succeed? They don't care that you are Captain Gordon. They don't care. It makes no difference. They want to know what you're going to help them and how you are going to help them succeed. And, you know, sometimes people want to wear their rank on their sleeve when they get out, when they're working with other military men and women. And teaching people that throw that out the window, that's the reality of it. So talk about that a little bit.
And you know what? It isn't so much throwing it out of the window, but learning how to embrace that time, take what you can from that time in the military and move forward and learn and embrace that you can still serve, but just in a different way. And I just think people, when they hold on to it like that, and one of the things that we don't learn and that I work with my clients is really stepping into a position of what are your values now? What do you want to hold on to? What are your characteristics that you want to hold on to? When we're in the military, we're told what our values are. These are your values. And so now you have to decide, what are your values? And I have a framework for it, and how do you turn those values into making your new life mission? Because now you get to decide what your mission is, and you have to decide, or you're going to be flailing. How do you want to use entrepreneurship in your life? I think entrepreneurship is one of the biggest personal things that help you grow. Like, once you even step in that space, because I didn't know how to talk to civilians without cussing every other word, which I still do, because I love cussing. I just do. But just really being able to have a valuable conversation and listening, to someone else. It was through entrepreneurship. I was wholesaling. And so I was like, oh, well, these people want this. I have to be able to listen to what they want and articulate back what they need, and I learned how to do that. And then I was able to take that into, as I was a contractor, with the military. And there's so many things that you don't acknowledge as a skill when you're in the military, because you just do it all the time. Like being able to go to a meeting and be able to pull out what you're supposed to do. I never knew that the do outs from a meeting was a skill set. Like, well, what are you doing in a meeting if you don't know how to pull out what you're supposed to do? I never knew that was a skill set until I got out of the military. And people either they don't know how to do it or they don't do it. But just really embracing that time that you were in the military. You don't have to let it go, but use it to propel you forward. And do realize that no one cares that you were Captain Gordon, Sergeant Major Brown. No one cares about that. And it's cute that you have all of that flair on your office wall, and you have all of those. Well, you're at home, and you're in the office and you have all of your coins, but that doesn't matter. Did you do what I asked you to do? Are you moving this business forward, and do you align with the values of this organization? And that's what's important. Can you lead over here?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And it is. And I say that about it doesn't matter. And it really doesn't. But, we should be proud of what we do or what we did in the military and the things that, I can sit here and go on. We could have a whole show and we could sit here and talk about all the things that I'm proud about that I did while I was in the military, but it's, how can you translate that into the real world? And so that's a good thing. You should be proud of it. We all served. We all did great things. That is a great thing. But when you go into an organization, use those skills that we learned for the betterment of that organization. That's right. So Tina Marie, let's talk about something that you did recently, right? Let's talk about a great thing that you did recently in this COVID-19 time frame. So tell us about the summit you put together.
Yeah, so I like to get downloads from the universe, God, whichever you want to call it. But I got one morning, I woke up and it's like, you need to put on a personal finance summit. And I'm sitting here, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I did it in 3 weeks. Part of being Black Girl Fed Magic, I had a ton of talent and expertise at my hands. And so I just put it out there and I said, hey, we really want to put this summit on for the public with everything that's going on right now. And everyone's a little afraid about money and stuff. Let's put on this summit. So it took about 3 weeks to put it together, execute it. We got about 30 speakers, recorded 12 different topics. So 12 different days we spread out the summit, and we covered things like credit, budgeting, savings, investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, how to teach kids about money, just about everything that we could get our hands on in our speakers. And so far we've gotten amazing feedback from it, and everybody got to walk away with stuff, the actionable things. And we had about 1,200 people sign up.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so awesome. That is so awesome. So really excited to hear you talk about that, because that's one of the things that we've really been talking about is, expanding that. We'll talk about that later, on in the show, but taking that same group that you have, and building a community inside of Convene communities, because I think you're doing amazing things and you have amazing people surrounding you. And yeah, it's just, bring it into a community, share the goodness and share that content so everybody they can keep learning and all that. So that's really, really awesome. What was your topic in that summit? What did you teach?
I did
the
talk
same
about
thing you're
money
teaching.
mindset.
Okay, so that's what you're going to talk about Monday. And let's talk just a little bit real quick on that. Let's talk about we'll go into what both of you are going to talk about during your summit. So, Tina Marie, just talk about that since we're talking about your summit and how we're transitioning that. Talk about what you'll be teaching.
Well, I'll be teaching about shifting from an employee to a CEO mindset. I think that's the first thing you really want to tackle when you're starting a business, or, I've seen people who have their business for 3 or 4 years that still haven't shifted from an employee to CEO mindset. And not to give all the tea, because you're going to have to join the summit to listen to it.
Don't give it all. That's right.
It's just little things like, like I said earlier, you are trained to do something specifically. And then I've seen so many new entrepreneurs, like, I have no idea what to do right now, because they're looking for a blueprint. They're looking for a checklist. And then a lot of them get trapped in that, I'm going to sign up for this freebie and this class, and they don't really get anything done. And they need to start giving themselves permission to take risks and being okay to fail, because failure isn't bad. There are opportunities to learn. And so it's really shifting from that into a CEO mindset and having a big picture idea. For the summit, I talked about money mindset because that was kind of like the theme of the summit. And some people are about to start businesses or wanting to start businesses. And I kind of shared one little exercise that helped me switch from a lack mindset to an abundance mindset. And having a money mindset, regardless if you start a business or not, is really important. And so I shared an abundance tracker, how you can just download a free app or use an Excel sheet and start tracking the things that come to you for free, or money that comes to you. So not just your paycheck. If someone took you out and bought you free coffee or treated you to lunch, or did you save money at the grocery store? Did you get a discount somewhere? It's so easy for us to see our bank account, like our paycheck, drop in there, and then we pay all the bills and it's like empty. And we're like, okay, we don't have any money. So it's so easy to think about those things. And this was like the one exercise that really helped me train to see, okay, money is coming to me. Just because it's not physically in my account that I can see, it is coming to me. And it's really helpful to start switching to that, to see, okay, I am blessed. I am grateful for those things.
And we're going to come back and talk about that, but let Nyota talk about her topic of what she's going to talk about during the summit.
I am actually talking about making friends with your money mindset. And it's especially for people that were in the military. We don't talk about money. You just get money. You don't talk about it. Just kind of comes from wherever it comes from. And it's, and that's not a conversation that, not that we just don't have in the military, we don't have it in our communities. And people are almost embarrassed to talk about money, and even if you have money, you don't want to really talk about it, because now you think everyone's going to try and get your money, because it is this whole thing, like keeping your hands closed and not realizing that when you open your hands, then you can receive and give money, but you're holding on to money so tight, and then you just look up and there's nothing there. And there's a whole, a whole shift, a whole energy when it comes to money, and realizing that money is energy, and it's the way that we give it and the way that we receive it, and just to really be able to think of it as love and be grateful that you have these bills. People wish they had your car note. People wish they had, your rent, or had the money to pay these bills. So just to really come from a place of just the gratitude that you have. I'd be like, Lord, thank you for these bills, honey. And just, and there's a whole, it's like a whole taboo undercover world when it comes to talking about money. And it's like, for people to, like, I hear Tina Marie and I'm like, yes, preach, speak, because people, like, they hear her talking about money and they're like, there she goes, talking about money. I always want to talk about money. And that's another shift that people need to have. You're looking at it as she's talking about something negative, but it's completely positive, because it's what you can do, with your money. And when you don't have it, you can't show up fully the way that God intended us to show up. So
absolutely. So I'll talk about two things on that. First is, in the military, just going back to what you said, you don't talk about money. It just comes to you. You're getting it. You don't get a bonus. You're not getting. But one of the things that drove me nuts once I got out was nobody ever talked to me about investing. Nobody ever talked that. The thing that I'd always share. You're going to get a retirement when you get out, so you're going to have a retirement every month. You don't need to invest. I mean, come on, people. If I wish I would have just taken a portion of my check and invested it every month from the beginning when I got in, like it was never there. If I would have only done that, and I get this, when I started out in the military, we got this starter loan from Navy Federal, Marine Corps Federal, right? And it was a loan. This one guy that was in the basic school with me took that $5,000 loan, starter loan, and he invested in 1994 in this little startup company that had kind of been going, but had just kind of gone public, $5,000 called Microsoft. If I would have only, somebody had educated me and I would have known about it, but that's what he did with that. So amazingly. So yes, and you're right. I believe this. This is what I believe. Y'all tell me if you believe this, but I believe we all have the ability to make money if we want to work, if we want to put the effort in, and so, everybody in life goes through their ups and their downs and their, lefts and their rights and all that, but we put the effort in and we work. And if you work and you work hard, you can make money. I don't care what you got to do. You can make money, and you should be proud that you're working hard and making money. As an air medical pilot, I ended up working, and I was working 24, 26 days a month, right? And the only way you make money in air medical is you make an hourly rate, and guess what? You can make a lot of money if you're working 24, 26 days a month, but that's what you choose to do. So get out there and work. Put your mind to it and work. So,
but you know what secret I've learned?
Yeah, let me hear about it.
And I'm sure Tina Marie knows this. You don't have to work hard to get money.
I was about to say the same thing. I'm glad you said it.
That's the secret. Like, that's one of those shifts. Like, no one, like, that's part of that whole drowning you in this mindset of you have to work hard.
Yep. It froze up a little bit, but go ahead, Tina Marie.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say making money is easy.
Yeah, it's part of it is,
Yeah, you dropped out for a minute, but you're back. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I'm sorry. I was like, oh, I can't see you guys. But yeah, part of it is, part of that, what the military does. It's part of it keeping you in that. And I don't want to say anything bad about the military, anyone that's listening, but part of it is for you to be responsive. When they tell you to jump, it's not how high, it's just start jumping, and part of that is keeping you in that mindset. So yes, I want you working hard. Yes, I want you expending energy on the things. But once I got out, I was like, I'm not working nearly as hard to get this money that I was making in the military. So it's a whole, it's almost like this secret friends club that I wasn't a part of.
Yeah.
Well, no one talks about it, right? Because we're so used to, you go to work and you get paid. Like, that's the way we were taught. And that I was breaking that story of the harder I work, the more money I can make. But it doesn't really work like that. Look about, like you said, the gentleman, when you guys first started enlisted, took that $5,000 loan and invested. He didn't work hard to make that money. And look at what he's probably has now. You still have to put in the work. Like, you can't just sit here and, visualize and, and ask for it. You still got to put some work in it, but you don't have to grind yourself into the ground to make money.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's right. And I said I was working. Now let me finish the story, because I did say, hey, I was here working 24, 26 days a month. I did. I was working hard. I did love the job. I did. In that time, I did 659 patient flights. I made a difference in people's lives, right? But one day I walked into a job and somebody said, hey, the Penske NASCAR and Indy team's looking for a pilot. Would you be interested? Well, I knew I had worked so hard, made a good reputation for myself. I picked up the phone, made one phone call, and guess what my day job is now besides Convene? I'm the Penske and, NASCAR team and Indy pilot, right? So it, hard work can get you places, right? But you don't have to, I agree with both of you, right? Work hard but work smart at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So going into next week, going into the speaking and all that, I cannot wait to hear you guys speak. So this is going to be really cool. All right. So if you were to give your best piece of advice, Nyota, that you could give for the people who will be watching about, just the transition of what your lesson learned, right? Your lesson learned. Give us the one lesson learned that you have that you wish you could go back and just say, I got out and I did it wrong. I wish I knew this.
I would say it's about my transition from the military and also my transition to talk about money and just grant myself grace.
Yeah.
And I, so it's so easy to be so hard on yourself about what you don't know, and just really grant yourself some grace and try your best to enjoy the process, because I'm way different than I was when I got out, and I'm very different than I'll be, down the road.
Yeah.
So just grant yourself some grace.
Yeah. And so Tina Marie, in your time in this transition to become an entrepreneur, what's one of your great pieces that you would tell somebody?
I would say that I know the answers, because before I was just sitting there, I was like, I don't know what to do. And I really did know. And to add to Nyota's saying is giving myself grace. I was pushing so hard to be successful right away and not enjoying the process and not trusting that success would come to me. So because I was pushing so hard, I was creating resistance.
Yep.
So just trusting the process and letting things just come to me and be open to receiving.
So when I say this comment to both of you, if I say real life, real people, and real experience, what would both of you think? Give me your thoughts on that. I've never really asked anybody like on a podcast to define when I say real life, real people, real experience. What does that mean?
You're talking about me.
How am I talking about you?
I just want people to see that we are everything that we need. We have, like Tina Marie was saying, we have every skill set, we have every story, we can love, we are everything that we need to show up as the best and the biggest and the brightest. And people are looking to you just to be you. They're not looking at me to be you, Matt. They're looking at me to be Nyota. And if I'm not Nyota, then whoever needs me. And so all of that is you're talking about me. Like when you said that, I felt a little convicted because I'm oh, snap. Oh gosh. Right. Because you just need me to you just need me 8433 Nyota to Gordon to just show up like that. And I like that what you said, and I can't wait to the free replay just to play that part back. Out of all of this, right? Out of all of this. But that, that's good. That's good.
So Tina Marie, real life, real people, real experience. Give me your thoughts.
The first word that came to mind was stories. I just visualized a bunch of people, like Nyota said, you're talking about me, everybody's stories, their experiences. So when I hear that, it's, I'm thinking about stories. What is somebody's background? What their history? What's my history? How did I get to be this person to today?
So here's what I believe. I believe that we all learn through experience, right? And we all have experience where we cross paths. And I don't care who you are, what background you come from, what you've done. We all have stories. Right? Just like you just said. And just like what you said, Nyota. And it's about you. And it's about Tina Marie. And it's about me. And it's about Stezo in the background here producing the show. What I gave you was the tagline of Convene Communities. That's the tagline. That's what this whole thing is built around. It's built around real life, real people, and real experiences. And how can we come together, all of us come together, and share these life experiences? And how can we do it to help each other out? How can we do it? Because I have experiences, you guys have experiences, and we can all learn from each other, right? And that's what they're doing. I've always wanted to just ask somebody that on a podcast. So I'm glad I did. That was just wonderful. So I appreciate y'all's answers because you validated, what I think Convene is, right? How can we bring people together? Today, earlier today. And if you haven't had a chance and you're watching the show tonight, please go to Convene and watch. We did a drug prevention seminar today, right? Drug prevention education seminar today. The 108 Challenge Live. We had the top speaker in the U.S. We had Eric Burgess telling his story, and we had the top nonprofits in the country. Drug Free America, Drug Free World were a part of this. SteerTrade.org, right? And we had three incredible stories, recovery stories. Actually, four, counting Michael DeLeon. And it was great. And Stezo, again, in the background, I keep saying Stezo in the background, I got to sit through an interview with Eric Burgess and Michael DeLeon. But the point is you talk through these stories, you share your life story, and you help others. Because we could all sit here and talk about money, right? And we can all talk about the good things that we've done with money. And we can all probably tell some stupid things we've done with money. We want to get into that. We want to tell some stupid things. No, we'll keep it to ourselves, right? But the point is that we can tell stories of the good things and the bad things. And a lot of times when we're teaching and when we're educating, when we're working with people, and Tina Marie, you tell me this, in your when people are talking in your seminar, were they not teaching through, yes, maybe they're teaching a specific topic, but a lot of them probably taught through their stories, right?
Yeah, every single one of them taught through their stories.
Yeah. And so that's important. And so, all right, so let's just keep talking about this. All right. So how do we make entrepreneurs think about these things differently? Because I talked to Grayson Marshall Jr., who's going to be one of the main speakers I can't remember if it's Monday. I think it's Monday. And Grayson Marshall Jr. was talking about, if you've seen his speaker intro, he was talking about, you know, as entrepreneurs, we need to not be just thinking one dimensional. All right, this is what I do. Let's go down this path. And that's all I can do, right? And I got this one stream of income and I'm just thinking this way. He said entrepreneurs should be thinking 7 to 8 ways about how they can make money, right? So give me your thoughts on that, Nyota. I mean, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, that's you know, it's the different streams of income. Like, you know, I have rental properties. You know, I coach. I work at Southwest. Not so much for the income, but what it can do, you know, for my quality of life. You know, so these different streams of income, they're like lifelines, right? You don't want to just have one lifeline that can save you as you're trying to swing across this ocean, right? Like, well, maybe ocean was big, maybe it's stream, you know, right? But you want to be able to have, so if I fall off of this, you know, rope, then I need it to be a raft down there, right? And then it's like, it's just, and giving yourself to be like, wait, I don't have to just go to work. Like, and people think that it's just about working this 9 to 5. And then so you're dependent on this 9 to 5 income and this 9 to 5 quality of life when you can easily have another stream. Do you have a rental property? Do you want to rent out, you know, one of your bedrooms as an Airbnb? Maybe that's not a good, you know, business model right now, but, you know, do you coach on the side? Do you tutor? Like, there's so many other streams of income. You don't have to be, I think people look at entrepreneurship as this huge, grandiose thing when it's very manageable. And people normally start out as, you know, it's something pretty small. This was one of my streams of income, and it just started like smashing. So it just, you know, I scaled it. So I just think people should look at entrepreneurship as a lot more, it's a lot more obtainable than people think it is, you know, and it's an investment. You know, we're talking about investment, you know, it's an investment in who you are. Just think, if we learned in the military how to invest in entrepreneurship, like what would that do if you've already had this stream of, you already, every time you went to a new duty assignment, you got your rental property, the house you stayed in, you turned it into a rental property. How many rental properties would that be? You know,
and I know,
why nobody teach me that? Why nobody teach me that? Why they're teaching me a bunch of crazy stuff that I don't need. You know?
You're right. That's so true. That is so true. Oh gosh, crazy. What do you think, Tina Marie?
Oh, definitely. I think if COVID has taught anybody anything, especially for my business owners, that you can't just rely on one type of product or service in your business. Doesn't matter how well you're killing it. It could be really, you've seen it with brick and mortars. They're like, their stores are doing really great, but now with COVID and shut down, they're like, oh, because they didn't pay any attention to the e-commerce side and really growing that. So regardless if you have multiple businesses or multiple streams of income, definitely look at scaling your business to be able to bring in some type of passive or residual income, different streams, products of services. And that's what I teach my clients. And thinking big. We have to start thinking bigger, not just thinking right now, not just thinking about how do I bring money right now, but how are we going to grow this business in a year or 2 years or 3 years? I think anything COVID has taught us, don't stay comfortable.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. I always said, and I said this, me and Grayson were talking about this the other day too. I said, I think business owners a lot of times think macro. I think they think small, right? Mm-hmm. I think they think, okay, not macro, micro. They think small, right? They think in their lane. So, and they stay in that lane and they don't think like micro. I mean, macro. They don't think macro. I'm getting all backwards, but, so listen, you got to think big. If you're not thinking out of the box, then you're wrong. You know, think big, think out of the box, think, how can I really, really grow? I mean, I see my boy Eugene Brown over on here watching, Kerry Walters watching. You know, these are people that are part of Convene, and we think big. We think as a team. We think about how big can we grow it? How, you know, I know this. I'm not in the same spaces. That's not my passion in the same spaces that you guys are, but that's where you're experts at. You know, I think Nyota and I could talk military and military transition all day, right? But you do things a little bit different than I would do it. And that's okay. How can we leverage and how can we grow off of each other? How can we help each other out? How can we build these communities and build just, you know, what you did with your summit, Tina Marie? How can we work together? What do you think about that, Nyota?
And I just think it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be scary. Like, it could still be something you want to do. Like, it could still be fun. Like, it's not about just looking in this industry and this industry's making so much money. I don't know what just popped off out here when all the, I don't know where they all wanted to come right when I was talking. But, you know, but it can be something fun. Like now, like when I tell you, like, I almost feel like I should whisper this, but I look at this time as like Corona blessings. I've never had more money. I've never had more opportunities, right? And like now I'm like, you know what? I want to make chatbots for people. Let me ask the people if they need chatbots. Yep, I need chatbots. Okay, I'm making chatbots, right? Like just like something that's cool. And my IT self, like I couldn't, you know, I could not do something like that, right? But, you know, just letting it be fun, letting it be helpful, and let it be something that, you know, that you enjoy. And it doesn't have to have these limits on it, or you don't have to look on someone else's paper and be like, oh, they're making all this money. Oh, they're doing this thing. Well, you hate that. You don't even like talking to people. So that's not the business for you. You know, so a lot of that is having a lot of being able to have a lot of self-awareness, right? To know, like, no, that's not my lane. I don't like people all like that, right? And just being aware and then being able to grow from there. Like, mind your business and grow.
I love that you mentioned that, because entrepreneurship also doesn't fit for everybody, but that doesn't mean there's not different ways of bringing in income that can work for you. So it's just, like you said, just stick with what you know, what you love, and what you're passionate about, and start from there.
Yeah, Tina Marie, we talked the other day when we were talking, we talked about, you know, that a lot of business owners want the 100% solution before they get out of the box, right? Before they take off and take off and run. And I know this is something that you teach and you talk about here in Mindset, about it doesn't have to be perfect. You got to get off and get going. So talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So I'm a recovering perfectionist, type A perfectionist. So just know I understand your plight.
Real life, real people, real experience. So we're hearing from a real, you know, perfectionist expert here.
And it is a daily battle with my perfectionism. So I still work on this, but that's where I can speak on my experience and how to teach my clients on this. And we work so hard to wait for something to be perfect. that we end up not taking any action at all. And this was part of my issues when I first started my first year or two. And the thing is, if you've watched anybody who is super successful now and what they started with in the beginning, I bet you their videos were terrible, but they still did it and they showed up. You know, I bet you their emails were terrible and they didn't really make any sales, but they learned and they grew and they kept going. And what we need to apply with that mindset is to our life. Life is always ever changing. It's never like stagnant or the same. And in order for us to actually become successful and grow, we have to grow ourselves. And it means being as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone a lot. And you're going to have to be okay that that's going to be your new normal, that the uncomfortable is going to be your new normal. But that just means you're learning and you're growing. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. So let me tell you all a little story real quick about Convene. So I've been at it for 10 years, right? 10 years I've been doing this, and I love every single minute of it, right? But this is the fourth version, right? Fourth, and that's what you're talking about, Gina Marie. It's you don't stop, right? And so we had version 1, version 2, it's mostly business to business, version 3, and we stopped because we realized that it wasn't scalable to do what we wanted it to do. And my big dream was to, one, go out and help people and allow it to help people, like doing what we did today with a huge summit all the way across the country to help in drug prevention and to help people. But it's also to put it into two amazing ladies like yourselves, put it into your hands and say, go, take this, and let it be a resource to you and go grow your business and go teach people and coach people, right? So, but it's taken 10 years to get to that. One of the things that drives me is I sat down and it was a Panera Bread with a gentleman one day, and I don't know if y'all have Panera Bread where y'all live, but all right, good. I just
had that walnut black cookie, that dark chocolate walnut cookie today with that goddess green salad.
Yeah, but you know what's so crazy? Chick-fil-A. Do you have Chick-fil-A out there, Tina Marie? Okay. So my roommate from college, I'm getting off on the track here, but he lives up in Rochester, New York. They just got a Chick-fil-A recently. I mean, how do you just get a Chick-fil-A and only have one? You know, it's like everybody has Chick-fil-A, but no, it's not ever. So, I totally forgot what I was saying to y'all. Y'all throwing me off on some food and Chick-fil-A and Panera Bread and cookies.
You got yourself off. We were talking about growth. Like there's different iterations. You're gonna.
Oh yeah. All right.
A, B, C.
So back to where we were. Now that Nyota threw me off on a cookie.
That cookie. The programmer, Cindy, she was gracious enough and smart enough to say, hey, you know what? We're not scalable to what you want this to be. We need to stop and rewrite it and start from the ground up. So I have an amazing team that works with me, and y'all will meet them if you haven't met them all. But I have an amazing team that works for me. I'm not a coder. I have a great coder, somebody who writes code and does this. 2 people that do that. I have a person that does the website. I have Carrie that does all the marketing and helps with that. I have Eugene that helps in sales. I have my son who helps, who's been doing this with me since day one, 10 years, right? And the best piece of advice that I got as a business owner was from the lady that builds my website, right? And she said, Matt, you know when you're going to be successful? When you just go out and be you and do what you're an expert at and let us do what we do and let us do our job, right? And just go and grow. And so that's what we're doing. We're rolling, and it's just a wonderful thing because it's a bunch of teamwork going on, and we all believe in the mission and what we're doing. Mission, Nyota. Mission. And having the guts and the courage to decide what that mission is.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was saying. Panera Bread. That's where Panera Bread came up. This one guy told me, and he didn't know at the time I was working. I was working 24, 26 days a month for a reason. It was to get to where I'm at now, because to generate some resources to get where we're at and to get going. Well, he said to me in the thing, he said, hey, and this was on one of my 2 or 3 days off a month. He said to me, hey, you just need to go out and get a job. I got a job, but I also have a passion, and I also have a dream, and I also have something that I'm not going to stop working on ever until it's successful. And so that's the point I was trying to get at, because, you know, building off what you had said, Tina Marie. So when you have something that you love and you're passionate about, and you think, you know, it can make a difference, go for it. Work hard. Don't wait till it's 100%, because you can't, you know. So ladies, we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to just talk a little bit more about what both of you do and transitioning out of, you know, the military, and then transitioning out of the business world like you were, Tina Marie. You didn't even say what you did before. So tell people what you were doing before, because you know, you have a lot of experience in what you did before you kind of went out on your own.
Yeah, so I have 17 plus years in the restaurant industry, and almost as close with bookkeeping and accounting. And that's kind of my background with business. And I went to business school. And so
I don't like that. I don't like that.
You don't
Go
like
ahead.
what?
Bookkeeping and accounting.
Yeah. I was good at it, and I just like, okay, I don't think I'm going to become a CPA or do bookkeeping for people for the rest of my life. And so that's kind of how I transitioned to coaching. I originally started coaching as a business finance coach to help businesses with their money and, you know, all the things that affected like payroll and training your team. But then it kind of grew into a different passion. And so to add to my point before, don't be so stuck on like your brand or your whatever you're serving now has to be perfect, because you're going to find yourself growing and your audience is going to grow and be different. And I've had, just like you with Convene, I've had 4 different logos and 4 different iterations until I've gotten to this brand where I feel like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. So how about you, Nyota? So you got out of the military, and how have you taken all that experience and transitioned it? I know we've been talking about it, but you've transitioned it in something great. I cannot tell you how many times, and this is where you and I are so much alike and so much a little bit different, is that I think that your topic, to me personally, and it's to me because we're veterans, is one of the most important topics that we have as veterans, and that we owe our other veterans that are in that transition or just getting out or have been out and still struggling with that transition. We owe it to them to talk about the real world and how it really is.
Yeah.
And so talk about that a little bit.
Because what we don't realize is that the real world has been going on all of this time. And the life that we have in the military is also a real world. Like all of these places, you know, they coexist, but we haven't been crossing over into this other world to know how to really function and thrive and live in this world and have these conversations about money and have these conversations about what a great resume looks like, or have these conversations about how to properly interview without scaring the bejesus out of people because you don't know how to properly interview, right? We're just used to setting a goal in the military or setting a mission and going for it, and we get it because we know how to play the game there. We don't know this game, you know, once you get out. And so when going back to Tina Marie's point is finding a mentor, finding a coach that has already played this game and can give you the cheat code. Who doesn't love a cheat code? Like, why do you feel like you need to go through all of that when someone has already been through it? And just being able to embrace this and learn and figure out, because, you know, if you don't get, like going back to the whole money, the money mindset part, if you don't get that part together, you can't even take advantage of having a good bookkeeper or having a good CPA, because you're just burning all the money up because you're like, have this whole mindset of like, oh, I need to help this person. You don't even know what help looks like when it comes to money because your mind isn't right. You think the help is giving all your money away, giving your money to all of these organizations, but you're not in a place to do that yet because we're not mature. We're just not mature in that space. We have to grow there. And I just think just being able to have these conversations of what abundance really looks like. And it's not just money, because if you're lacking in all of these other areas, you're lacking in that heart space, then that money is not going to be right. It's just, everything is just not going to be right. And it's just about being in alignment. And that's a whole skill set that people in the military don't have. Like, we just don't know how to be this whole person. We're so used to compartmentalizing everything. And what happens when the walls come down? Like, you're just blown out of your mind. Like, you don't know how to talk to people. You don't know how to receive. And then you just like, I was better off in the military, but that's not the case. It's just that place was familiar, and you just haven't given yourself the investment to invest in you and all of these different areas of your life where you can fully grow and thrive. And that's what I like to talk about, because I've been through that struggle, you know?
Absolutely. We've all been through that struggle.
And we still go through it. Like, you know, Tina Marie was saying, you still fall back. You know, you still fall back. It's a constant fight to be better. It's a constant fight to grow. It's a constant fight to have peers, people around you that uplift you and push you. And without that, it's just not going to be good.
And so that's one of the things where I was saying we're alike and different at the same time, because I had this passion to help people transition out in their relationships, right? I have my degree in counseling. And I think that I've seen so many of my peers not make it, get divorced, not, just struggle. I mean, we had a bit of a struggle with our kids when we left. We left, the Marine Corps, and then we moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You're so used to moving base to base to base, and you're so used to going to the next base, and you're like, oh, hey, Tina Marie, we're back together again. We were just together at that base, and now we're together here. So you always know somebody where you're transitioning to, right? And then all of a sudden you rip your kids out of it, and you move away, and they know nobody. And, my son was on here earlier. I don't know if he still is, but that was just a struggling time for him. He was 12 years old, right? So help it. And then I've seen so many of my friends get divorced and not make it, and that post getting out and all that. So that's where we can all come together as a family, and we can all help each other transition to that next level. All right. Couple of minutes left, and I just want to let you both close it out here as we get ready to close out, because we got this exciting event next week, Entrepreneurs Unite. It's going to be back to the basics, right? So we're going to get people in the mindset of how they can be an entrepreneur, back to the basics, how we can have that right mindset, like you say, Tina Marie, and how you say, Nyota, how we can have that money mindset and that CEO mindset. That was a transition for me, right? So mindset, let's just close it out on mindset. Give us a little bit and just talk about why people should join us next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tina Marie, you want to go first?
Yeah. If anything, mindset is like 80 to 90% of everything you do. It is. So definitely come and check out the summit, listen to my session, listen to Nyota's. We have some amazing speakers that I'm super excited to watch their sessions. But mindset is about 80 to 90% everything you do. Trust me. And you're going to want to watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nyota, what do you think?
Again, I think they all should definitely tune in, and not just for Tina Marie and I, but these speakers are powerful and amazing. And just being able to get everyone together, like it's almost like it was ordained. But and just, when it's talking about money, and just know that money is energy. And money isn't good or money isn't bad. It's money is energy, and it's how you use it. And if you just think of money as love and how you want to share money as love, and how you want to receive money as love, it just kind of shifts that whole conversation about, it's not this horrible money is bad and rich people are evil. More money, more problems. You know what? I look forward to those kind of problems. I take those money.
I'll take that problem. You got that right. I will take that problem. That is my problem that I need to have.
Yeah, and just don't look at money, in this place of money is evil, and the whole thing you hear about, going through the eye of the needle, and all of these things you hear about. You think you're quoting Bible scriptures when you're not. It's just about just how does money make you feel, and letting it be a place of letting you feel good, and letting it be a helpmate to you.
Well, if we're talking about that, let's have a show of hands here real quick. Stezo, we see you in the background because you can show your hand here as well. Who likes to go without money? Who likes it on a day or a week when they have no money? Anyone? Raise your hand. We're over 4. We're over 4. So money's a good thing, and getting that money mindset, and how can we be an entrepreneur, and not only just be an entrepreneur, just to be an entrepreneur and say that we're going to be an entrepreneur. Let's be a successful entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Let's teach people how to be a successful entrepreneur in this summit. Let's teach people how they can take these basics, they can turn it into a profitable business. They can make that money so they don't have to worry. And for you two ladies, I am so excited that you're a part of it. I really appreciate you being with me tonight. I think that this summit is going to be great. And if you're out there and you're watching, don't miss it. Don't miss it, because these ladies are bringing it. We have 13 other powerful speakers that are just going to bring it, and, just make things happen. And, we'll end with Doc. Doc is sitting here, watch it, and we'll end with his comment and let you guys say, he says, I'm married, so I have no money. What's y'all's thoughts on that?
That can be very
That's mindset. That's mindset.
Yeah.
We love Doc. So just so you know, yeah, Doc is just a great, he's coming to my side. He's Navy, right? So he was in the Navy. He was a doc in the Marine Corps. Doc, just so you know, we have Army, Nyota here with the Army, and then Tina Marie was Army brat. So I've been outnumbered until you showed up. So thanks for showing up, So anyway, ladies, back just to close it out. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I look forward to you guys being on this week. And I just, even more so than that, I'm so happy that we've formed a friendship, that we've formed a bond, and that we're going to go forward even past this summit, and we're going to do some great things. Tina Marie, you're going to start a community, whether you want to or not, and bring all these wonderful people that and just build something powerful. Build something powerful. It's going to be great. Nyota, you're going to be part of the community leader for the veterans community. We're going to build something powerful for veterans. Doc, there is, he's a big part of task force JTF 22-0, which I'm a board member of. I love that nonprofit, right? So it's all about veterans. So he's somebody that you need to meet, and you need to meet JTF 22-0. Everybody, if you're a veteran, you know that 22-0, we want to take 22 suicides a day down to 0. Okay. So that's what happens with veterans. So we can all support each other. Stezo, once again, thank you so much for being in the background, helping us tonight. Look forward to next Thursday night. Don't miss next Thursday night. Oh my gosh, next Thursday night, you're gonna have a lady on. It's just gonna be me and her. And I'm gonna tell you what, the story that she's gonna tell is she's a great Christian lady. Share your dirt, and that it's just gonna be amazing. So thank you very much. Everybody have a good night. Thank you, two ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.